In the first breath before dawn, when the sky still clings to darkness and the sand whispers secrets only the wind can hear, the ancient heart of Sabi Sands begins to awaken. A faint glow stretches across the horizon, soft and hesitant, as if the sun itself is afraid to disturb the kingdom below. The air is cool, heavy with the quiet tension of a land where every life is shaped by the rise and fall of power. Somewhere beyond the curtain of night, a lion roars, a deep, resonant tremor that rolls across the plains like thunder born from the earth itself. It is not merely a sound, it is a proclamation, a reminder, a call that is echoed for generations. In these wildlands, the roar is king, and every creature listens. Dust rises gently as the first rays of light touch the red soil, revealing paw prints etched into the earth like ancient runes. The ground remembers everything. Each step, each hunt, each battle, each dynasty that rose, ruled, and eventually fell to make room for the next. Here, history is not written on paper. It is carved into the land by claw and fang. The wind carries the scent of life and death intertwined, of territories claimed and territories challenged, of brothers united by blood and divided by destiny, of coalitions that stride through the shadows like ghosts of warriors from forgotten empires. Sabi Sands is not merely a place, it is a living testament to the raw, untamed pulse of nature, a battlefield, a cradle of legends, a realm where the powerful rise, the mighty fall, and the brave carve their stories into eternity. And today, as the savannah opens its eyes, three great forces move through its depths. Three coalitions whose names command fear, respect, and awe. The saga begins. There are places in Africa where the laws of nature feel older than time itself. Lands where the sky hangs wide and eternal, and every blade of grass seems to carry the memory of 1,000 battles. Sabi Sands is one of those places, a territory forged not by chance, but by endless cycles of dominance and survival, shaped by the thunderous roars of kings, long gone, and kings still rising. To speak of Sabi Sands is to speak of a realm where borders are not drawn on maps, but built from the courage of those who defend them. Invisible lines stretch across the plains, fragile, shifting threads that can mean life or death. Territories expand, contract, fracture, and merge like living organisms. Molded by power and ambition, no kingdom here remains untouched for long. Every victory plants the seeds of a future challenge. This region is a crucible of legends, where coalitions rise from the dust like ancient armies marching toward destiny. Some rule with unmatched brutality, others with calculated precision. Some burn bright and vanish quickly. Others carve dynasties that echo through the generations. The Mantamal, the Mupogo, the Birmingham, ghosts of giants still linger in the wind, watching as new heirs emerge to claim the mantle. The rivers Sabi and Sand cut through this world like twin serpents, feeding the land with life, while carrying whispers of the past downstream. Around their banks, the tall grasses sway, like an audience watching the endless theater of dominance unfold. Every roar that pierces the night is both an announcement and a warning. Every patrol becomes a dance between confidence and caution. Every sunrise marks the beginning of another contest for supremacy. Here, lions do not simply exist. They reign. They do not merely survive. They conquer. This land does not reward the peaceful, it honors the relentless. Predators move through this sacred territory like warriors carved from flame and shadow. Their stories intertwine with the soil, their legacies rising with each heartbeat of the savannah. And now, as the modern age of Sabi Sands unfolds, three coalitions stand at the center of this mythic landscape, their names etched into the present as clearly as those who came before them. The plain camp males, the Ndzhenga, the Gijima, their era has begun. In the western reaches of Sabi Sands, where the grasslands stretch wide and golden under the African sun, two brothers walk as if the earth itself bows beneath their paws. They are the plains camp males, Makonga and Kasha, names that now echo through the reserve with a mixture of awe and unease. Born around 2017 to the powerful plains camp pride, their bloodline traces back to a dynasty of iron. The Mantamal males, a coalition remembered for its sheer force and territorial dominance. That legacy does not rest quietly within these brothers. It burns like fire beneath their skin, shaping them into lions of relentless determination. Makonga, the darker-maned of the two, strides with a deliberate confidence. His frame is thick with the weight of battles endured, his eyes hard and assessing. Kasha, often called Caution, moves like a storm held together by muscle and instinct, his mane catching the light in shades of earth and ember. Together they walked with the unmistakable unity of siblings, forged by survival. Their reputation was not given, it was carved. Stories of their aggression spread quickly through Sabi Sands. Encounters with rival males, relentless patrols, the brutal elimination of threats that dared to step into their path. They patrol from sunrise to midnight, covering vast distances, their voices booming across the plains like rolling thunder. When they roar, the night answers. They hold sway over the western sector, influencing prides like Simhungwe and Othawa, strengthening their bloodline through new generations. To their allies, they are anchors of protection. To their enemies, they are executioners. These brothers did not simply rise, they erupted, and in the kingdom of Sabi Sands, their ascent marks the beginning of a chapter written in dust, blood, and dominance. Farther east, across the winding paths where river reeds sway like spears, another force moves with the weight of history behind it. They are the Ndzhenga males, also known as the Mwaswichaka. A coalition once 4 strong, now carried forward by 2 formidable survivors, Ama and Uranji. Their story begins around 2015 or 2016, when 4 young males emerged from the southern regions of Greater Kruger. 3 were brothers. The 4th, an outsider who fused into their ranks during the restless nomadic years. Together, they formed a unit shaped by adversity, sharpened by hunger, and strengthened by the relentless trials of early lionhood. Their rise was not immediate. In their youth, they crossed paths with the seasoned southern Avoca males and were pushed back, a lesson that carved resilience into their bones. But setbacks only hardened their determination. What they lacked in experience, they made up for in unity and ferocity. Their true ascent began when they swept into Lion Sands, claiming control over the Styx and southern prides. For a time, their dominance there was absolute. They defended fiercely, repelling intruders with a brutal efficiency that marked them as heirs of the great warrior coalitions of the past. When 3 unknown young males, who would later become the Gijima, crossed the Sabi River into their lands, the Ndzhenga responded with merciless force, killing one and driving the others into retreat. But power in Sabi Sands is never permanent. With the years came loss. Babuso fell first, then Gore. The coalition of 4 was reduced to 2. Yet Amal and Uranji endure. Their bodies bear the map of past conflicts, their minds sharpened by years of defending vast territories. They now focus on the northern prides, Yukuma and Kambula, proving that even with reduced numbers, their dominance remains unbroken. The Ndzhenga are not fading, they are recalibrating. In the southern frontier of Sabi Sands, where thickets darken the landscape, and the ground trembles beneath the weight of prowling giants, 2 males move like shadows cast by the sun itself. They are the Gijima males, dark mane and blonde mane, the rulers of the south. Forged from obscurity into the embodiment of territorial wrath, their story begins as ghosts. When they first appeared, crossing quietly from Kruger, they were skittish, uncertain and wary of vehicles. Guides who tried to follow them saw only the blur of movement vanishing into the brush, and so they earned their name. Gijima, the Shangan word for to run. But the shy nomads did not remain ghosts for long. With time they grew into titans. Their manes thickened, their muscles hardened, their confidence surged, and when they struck, they did so with the fury of kings reclaiming a stolen throne. They seized control of the south, Styx, Masuflu, and the southern prides falling beneath their rule as if destined from the start. Dark Mane, with his deep and shadowed mane, carries the presence of a warrior forged in stormlight. Blonde Mane, lighter but no less imposing, moves with a lethal swiftness that belies his massive size. Together they define the southern border with an authority few coalitions dare to test. But the Gijima are not content with what they have. Recently, they have begun pushing northward, advancing step by step into contested lands, igniting conflict with the Plains Camp males and the Ndzhenga. Their presence drips with danger, each roar a challenge, each patrol a declaration that their empire has no intention of remaining confined. They are ambition incarnate, ruthless, strategic, unyielding, and their northern advance has set Sabi Sands ablaze. Tension in Sabi Sands does not arrive with a single roar or a sudden clash. It builds slowly, like storm clouds thickening over an open sky, layer upon layer of pressure, silence, and anticipation. And now, across the plains, 3 coalitions move with intentions that can no longer be ignored. The first tremors of conflict begin in the west. The plains camp males stride through their territory with unyielding certainty, their roars echoing across the grasslands with the sound of rolling thunder. Night after night, they patrol relentless miles, scraping their scent into the earth, marking fallen trees, and testing the borders with the confidence of rulers who believe their reign is only just beginning. Their voices spread like a challenge carried by the wind, but their roars do not fade into empty darkness. They are answered. Far to the east, the Ndzhenga lift their heads at the sound. Emma's throat rumbles with a deep, resonant growl, less a warning and more a statement. Ndzhenga rises beside him, mane shifting with the breeze, as he listens to the distant calls of rivals he has not yet faced head-on. These males have fought too many battles to be shaken by sound alone, but they know what it means when strangers roar boldly at the edges of their influence. It means someone is pushing closer. Too close. The Ndzhenga begin their own patrol, prowling northward and westward, investigating the faint traces of lions who do not belong. The grass parts beneath their heavy steps as if bowing to passing monarchs. Every rustle, every scent, every broken twig becomes a clue, a message left behind in the language of dominance. But the tension does not rise from these two coalitions alone. From the south, the ground vibrates with another force entirely. The Gijima males move like an advancing front of war. They have pushed beyond their established borders, slipping through thickets and riverbeds, extending their patrols deeper into contested terrain. Their movements are calculated, deliberate, a steady march of expansion that threatens everything in its path. Blonde Mane stops to inhale the scent of another male. His lips curl back, exposing massive canines. It is not fear he smells, it is opportunity. Dark Mane circles a cluster of marula trees, examining the markers left by unfamiliar lions. His tail flicks once, sharply, a silent warning to the unseen enemy who crossed into territory he now considers his own. The Gijima are no longer content with the south. They hunger for more. As days turn to weeks, the savannah becomes a maze of overlapping scent lines and contested claims. The winds shift and carry the roars of one coalition into the domains of another. Nights that were once calm now vibrate with challenge. There are moments, fleeting but electric, when the three forces brush dangerously close to one another. One night, the plains camp males pick up the fresh scent of the Gijima and pursue it with adrenaline-charged determination, roaring into the darkness, as if daring the shadows to materialize into enemy shapes. On another, the Ndzhenga respond to distant calls from the western frontier, approaching with ears forward and muscles rippling, prepared for confrontation that never quite arrives. And once, beneath a moon swollen and pale, the Gijima trace the scent of the Ndzhenga across a riverbank, their growls vibrating through the reeds like an omen. These encounters never escalate into clash, but each one tightens the invisible noose of conflict. The savannah feels it. The prey animals feel it. Even the wind carries the charged heaviness of anticipation. Three coalitions, three kingdoms, three armies inching closer with every patrol, every roar, every crossing of borders. War is not a matter of if in Sabi Sands, it is a matter of when, and that moment draws nearer with each passing night. The night chosen for destiny arrives without warning. It begins like any other cool air drifting over the plains, a thin layer of mist rising from the riverbeds, and the distant hum of insects filling the darkness like a quiet chorus. Yet something in the atmosphere feels different, heavy, charged, as if the land itself is holding its breath. Then, a roar erupts. It comes from the west, deep, thunderous, unmistakable. One of the plains camp males. The sound tears through the night like a blade of sound, powerful enough to shake birds from their roosts, and send impalas fleeing into the shadows. Seconds later, another roar answers, but this one is not from the west. It rises from the south. Dark Mane, his voice rolls across the landscape like a storm front, meeting the plains camp call in the center of the night sky. The collision of their roars vibrates through the ground, a warning that two sovereignties are dangerously close to touching. Before the echoes fade, a third roar ignites from the east, Amel of the Ndzhenga, deep, controlled, ancient in its authority. For the first time, the three dominant coalitions of Sabi Sands announce themselves in the same hour, their voices twisting together like a trinity of thunder. The savannah trembles beneath the sound, prey animals flatten themselves to the ground, and even the trees seem to shiver. The plains camp males move, pacing toward the source of the southern challenge. The Gijima advance northward, hackles raised, embers glowing in their eyes. The Ndzhenga shift positions. Ears forward, steps silent and measured. Their worlds are colliding through sound, through territory, through intent. No one sees them meet face to face tonight, but the air between them crackles with the promise of war. A kingdom cannot hold three kings for long. Tonight is not the battle, but it is the spark. Dawn breaks after the night of thunderous roars, but the savannah does not return to its old rhythm. Something has shifted. The balance, once fragile but stable, now trembles with a new tension. The land feels altered, as if the echo of those three roars carved fresh scars across the heart of Sabi Sands. The Ndzhenga are the first to adjust. Nahel and Ndzhenga move with a renewed precision, tightening their patrol routes, reinforcing their scent lines, and doubling back toward the Kambala and Kuhuma territories. Loss has shaped them, age has tempered them, but experience has sharpened them into strategic guardians of the North. Their resilience becomes their weapon, their memory of fallen brothers a fire that refuses to die out. The plains camp males respond with expansion. Ndzhenga and Kasha sweep farther west and north than before, testing the edges of lands not yet claimed, pushing into areas where even dominant males walk with caution. Their rising power demands space, space to rule, space to breed, space to command. Their aggression grows not from insecurity, but from confidence swelling inside them, like a gathering storm. And in the south, the Gijima evolve into something new. Their advance slows, not from hesitation, but from calculation. Dark Mane circles wide arcs around unfamiliar scents, while Blonde Mane studies trails with the patience of a commander, mapping a battlefield. The south is still theirs, but their ambitions point northward like sharpened spears. Three coalitions, each adjusting, each strengthening, each preparing. Change is no longer coming. Change is here. As the sun sinks once more behind the distant line of acacias, Sabi Sands is bathed in molten gold. Shadows stretch long across the plains, each one shaped by the presence of rulers whose paths grow closer with every passing day. The land is quiet, not with peace, but with anticipation. Somewhere in the west, the plains camp males pause atop a ridge, their silhouettes etched into the dying light like the statues of ancient kings. They gaze toward the south, where the wind carries faint traces of rivals bold enough to challenge the horizon. Far to the east, the Ndzhenga stand guard beneath the rising moon, their breath curling into the cool night air. Veterans tempered by hardship, they listen to the distant roars and measure them not with fear, but with the calm calculation of lions who have already faced the worst of fate and survived. And in the south, the Gijima move through the darkness like a low rumbling storm. Their paws press into the earth with purpose, as if each step writes a new declaration of war. Three coalitions, three empires, three destinies on a collision course. The savannah feels the coming shift, the prey sense it. Even the rivers seem to wait. No one knows which coalition will rise, which will fall, which will carve its legacy into the dust of Sabi Sands. But one truth is undeniable: the war for the future has only just begun.